Oceans. I love its slow tempo, but of course it's the words that have great significance to my story. My name is Barbara, for those of you who don't know me, and I have been widowed twice. Both of my husbands served their country in the Second World War. In 1999, my second husband died from motor neurone disease, amongst other things. He had served in the RAAF during the war, and he'd flown Beaufort bombers from Taji in New Guinea. Soon after his passing, I was contacted by Legacy. And at the time, I knew very little about Legacy. But when I went along to be enrolled, I learnt that Legacy had been formed from a promise made to a dying digger in the First World War that his wife and family would be looked after. And Legacy grew from that, and it spread right across the country. When I went to the first welcome lunch that I could attend, I really appreciated the practicalities of belonging to Legacy, but it was the fellowship that I was really looking for. Because I think when you look after someone who is very sick and dying, you become rather isolated. So I was desperate for that contact with other people. When I started going to the meetings, I was co-opted into becoming craft teacher. But after a while, I was elected onto the committee. And I was there for a couple of years as secretary. But for the last 14 years, I've been president of the Parramatta division of Legacy. Each division has a number of legatees who are mostly returned service people, and they bring an amount of expertise. We have a solicitor, an auditor who looks after our books, someone who's an expert in pensions, so that any problems that the widows may have, they're able to deal with it and help. At first, I continued with the welcome lunches every month, and we were getting around 20 new members each time. But as the years went by, the numbers of World War II widows began to decline, and we did get a few from conflicts in Korea and Vietnam, but the numbers did diminish. And then I started to hear that ominous phrase, post-traumatic stress syndrome, which replaced the old term of shell shock. But now our new members are quite different. These are young women whose husbands have served in one of the armed forces, and after they finish their tour of duty, they've returned home, and they've found that they couldn't cope with the stress of civilian life, and they've committed suicide. So now these young women find themselves having to look after their families and bring them up and earn their keep. But they also are faced with the terrible job of having to explain to these children, some of whom are very young, why Daddy won't be coming home anymore. Maybe they say he's gone to heaven to live with Jesus. I don't know whether any of these women believe in God, but I do know that God has his loving arms around each one of these families, keeping their eyes above the waves and the oceans from crashing over them. There will always be wars, because history has his history repeats itself endlessly. And as I know from personal experience, it's always the women who are left behind to pick up the pieces. Thank you for listening to my story.
Feet may fail, and there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand, and I will call upon your name, and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand be my guide. Where fear may fail and fear surrounds me, never failed, and you won't stop now. And I will call upon your name, and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon He